Hey folks, Fernando doing a video for the Modern Survivalist, and this is going to be an extended video on EDC, right? This stuff I've been carrying for pretty much all of 2018, now going into 2019. So it's going to be a wrap up of the things I've been carrying, some of the stuff that I've liked, some of the stuff I've changed a little bit here and there. But in general, as you can see, it's always kind of the same thing with me. It's pretty much the same tools with very little changes here and there. The thing is that I've been doing this for a very long time, and I've evolved over the years into a setup that works for me just well. So I'm going to be having always with me a folding knife. I'm going to be having a multi-tool, a flashlight, of course, my wallet over here. These days, anyone normal has a cell phone. I always have sunglasses with me as well, just because maybe one of those things I picked up from my time of using contact lenses and trying to keep my eyes a little bit better protected. But I understood the wisdom of that and stuck with that even after getting laser surgery in my eyes. Just same thing with a watch. And you notice here, for example, I have 3 different flashlights. The setup I have works well for me, and I only make changes when I see that it's worth it, when honestly technology advances in something. And as you see 3 flashlights here, it's because flashlight technology is one of those things that advances quite rapidly, and there's always seems to be something brighter, better, more compact, or better built or something. So this would be a good example of that. In case of watches, for example, I have this one here, but the one I'm wearing right now, and honestly wear most of the time, is this one, the Casio Pro Trek, which is solar. It has several functions, and I haven't found anything that it's actually better than this. Yeah, there's these smart watches, but for me, a watch that I have to recharge every week or so, or maybe more often. When I have a watch I recharge never because it's solar powered, that just doesn't make any sense for me. I already have my cell phone with the little computer function things that you possibly want. But again, going back to this thing of why is it the same, because it has been working for me very well for many years, and by that I mean way before there was anything such as EDC. There was no such concept. It was just carrying stuff, and I have proof of that right here. These are, yeah, and this is going to be a longer video, guys. If you want to watch one of those 1-2 minute videos, just go watch people fall or something. If not, stick around. So this is one of the knives I had with me as a kid for when I was going to school. I had this one. This knife was in my pocket when going to school. Yeah, in high school I had this knife, and it's nothing fancy, but looking at it now in perspective, it's actually a quite decent knife. It's not, you cannot open it single-handed, but the stainless steel blade is actually, and these are made in Spain. The stainless steel blade is, definitely sharp enough. I've abused this one quite a bit. I actually bended the edge and hammered it back into shape, and then resharpened it. And I like the blade profile quite a bit as well. Now looking at it, this retro type of blade shape, this actually works quite nicely, and it's always been very strong for me. I've put a lot of, and it has 0. I mean, looking at it now, I understand how I didn't appreciate how good this thing was. And it hasn't got any fancy screws or anything, just a pivot point there, but still it's so freaking strong, and this locking mechanism is actually quite good as well. Silly foot shape thing here going on, but other than that, the knife is very sound. I have another one here, this one I also had with me. I usually ended up carrying this one because it's much lighter, but this one I took with me a lot as well, and look at how nicely made this knife is. You can barely see the letters there. It says Alcon Inox Stainless Spain. But this steel is fantastic. It takes quite a bit of a nice edge. Again, nice blade shape, and look how well shaped that grip is. You have a good hold on your knife, and again, 0 play. Well, maybe a little bit more, surprisingly more than in this one that seems to be cheaper. But you have nice wood, you have brass, you know these things are quite old, but still a very capable knife. Look at that, it's a beauty. Now, as time went by, and yeah, this video is going to be going on forever, as time went by and better things, just as to prove I'm not making stuff up here, anyone that knows anything about cold steel knows how old this knife is. This is one of their first models. This is their first Voyager, and this goes back quite a bit. I don't even want to think how this was one of my my serious EDC knives back in the day. Right, I was yeah, quite young, but this is what I had. Now looking at it, I went for a small knife. The thing is, I like this one because cold steel was just getting started and was the coolest thing ever back in the day, was making these super tough knives. I don't know if this one was even tougher and I just didn't appreciate it. Certainly has a nice big blade, but this is what I ended up carrying for quite some time. And sure, I liked that it was very light, maybe a little bit too small, but you open it single-handed. That was the thing it had going on there. So yeah, cold steel, Voyager, moving this thing all over, right? Voyager, made in Japan. Cold steel hasn't been making knives in Japan for quite some time. There was still no such thing as removable pocket clips. It was all just a plastic piece. But this knife did its job. I carried it a lot, then moved to something. I think I went with a bigger Tanto blade, and then with the El Hombre one, which is more defensive. But yeah, and not only that, I had my EDC flashlight as well. These ones, you remember these ones? The Solitaire from Maglite. These things were terrible. Just lasted a few minutes. The bulb would burn every couple batteries. You would need to replace that bulb because it burned. It was an incandescent one. But then you notice I had two of these because I actually had these with me. Very nice job with it, with the finishing, because look at how you can barely see any wear. I did take quite a bit of care for these. So I was very careful. This was not in any keychain. This was carefully kept in my pocket because I didn't have a ton of stuff, and these weren't exactly cheap back in the day either. But as I was saying, EDC back in the day before EDC. And then later, moving on, one of the first cool, super compact, powerful flashlights that I got, the 4.7's Quark Mini 123. This was like, I mean, coming from this was a revolution. This was like crazy. Something as bright as this. Look at that brightness. Was it like 100 and something lumens or 200, who knows? But this was crazy, and especially made of titanium like this. If you were a flashlight guy like I was in these days, this was like amazing, and it still is. I still love these things. But again, why is it that I have this stuff that I have, and why is it that I stick with it and don't make huge changes? Because I've been doing this for a very long time, and I understand what works for me. In terms of going back to the wrap-up of 2018 and looking at the new year, my cell phone has been for this year the LG G6, which I honestly love. I got it for free, didn't pay a cent for it. I did buy an expensive TV. I got a nice LG LED TV, and it came free. The phone came with a TV. So yeah, it was an expensive TV, but got a nice phone out of that. I have the Spigen case. I've moved from the super heavy duty cases like the OtterBox ones. Now thinking about it, this is more than enough. I've dropped this phone many times. I guess the OtterBox tough Defender ones are stronger, and you can drive over them or whatnot. I'm happy enough with this. It has rubber here where it needs to be, and dropping it looks quite good as well. It's nice and classy. And the phone itself being as waterproof as it is, I hadn't had any problems. I have tempered glass screen protector, which I try to always have in my phones because this makes it quite more solid. You have those two cameras. If you're looking for a new phone, this isn't a phone channel, but for me this kind of thing does it. I have, especially looking at the price. You know, again, I didn't pay a cent for this, but looking at the price is rather reasonable. I think there's a new one, the LG G7, or there's a G30 or V30, but this line of phones, especially when I first got it, this was before Apple went with an all-screen front. So, you know, it was quite, and it has a button, the fingerprint thing right in the middle, which is very handy for just, you know, it's very intuitive, and you have two very nice cameras. So a ton of phone right here. Then I've used this year the Wiley X Valor, which is these sunglasses. And for many years I had my revolvers. If you see some of my older videos, these are nice because I like the revolvers a lot. These ones have even a little bit more visibility, I guess. It's not as thick of a frame around it. I guess that's better, but especially I really like, you know what, the polarized sunglasses. It really helps, especially when driving. It removes that glare that sometimes bothers you when you're driving. So, and they're very tough. You know, they're wildly tough. They're very, very strong and durable. I won't be surprised if these last as many years as my Wiley X revolvers ones. And those I keep as a spare, but these have been very nice for me, and I use these all the time. It's not a tint that is so dark that bothers you. I don't know if you get to notice that. So all day long, glued to my face, these things, and they are safety glasses. If anything hits your face, your eyes are going to be protected by these. So especially if you live in a place where, you know, with very sunny, very bright sun all the time, these are pretty much mandatory. In terms of knife, I've pretty much stuck all year with my ZT Zero Tolerance 0630. It is a good knife. I mean, I open it all the time. I don't use it as much because I have other blades that are usually more convenient or less conspicuous for whatever it is that I need to cut. But it is a fantastic knife. ZT makes very good things, makes very good knives. And this one in particular is an Emerson design that has that wave feature. So when you pull it out of your pants with a little bit of practice, which I try to keep, you know, doing every now and then so as to not forget and have it as instinctive as an instinctive reaction as possible. So you pull it out of your pocket and it just catches on the edge of the fabric of your pocket, and it opens on its own. It makes a very loud, snappy noise and surprises people quite a bit. Maybe that's an advantage as well. Emerson does not screw around. He's a guy that designs knife to be used, right? And made by ZT, which means they are very well made. This is all titanium frame lock. It has that insert there. Yes, there's a little bit of talk about how strong are frame locks. If you bang them, if you use them. They're folding knives, guys. They're never going to be as tough as a fixed blade. But as folding blades go, and yes, I like the triad lock in the cold steel a lot. I like the steel in this one better. I like the wave feature better. I like this very narrow tip quite a bit too. And it's very thin profile and it carries very deep in the pocket, which is all good. So yeah, ZT makes nice knives. The 0630 is definitely a good one. I haven't honestly abused or used this knife so as to have much of an opinion on S35VN. I know it's good stuff. I know it's good steel. So yeah, you know, it gets to a point where over the years you understand what steels are better or worse, what you can get from each one. Moving to the multi-tool, this is maybe one of the oldest EDC pieces that I've kept over the years. There's really nothing better than the Lumen Charge in terms of function, in terms of quality of construction, of beating the tool well beyond what's reasonable, and the tool still performing. This is an older one. You know, this is an oldie. There's a new one that's been around for quite some time, has different scales. I like these ones, and you know, the saying, you buy once, pay once, cry once, or whatever, it is so much true. In this case, it is a fantastic multi-tool. The blade that I use most often when I need one from my pocket is this one, the one in the Wave in the Charge, and this is S30V. Some people don't like it as much. It is some of these steels, some of these nicer steels like this one or some other premium steels. The thing that they have is they hold an edge much longer than your softer steels or your typical carbon steels. They hold an edge much longer, but that also means it takes a little bit more of work to get those sharp again. So this one, every now and then I take my time, I put a good edge on it, and it holds it even after quite a bit of use. You're opening boxes, you're cutting stuff, you're using your knife, and it just holds that edge longer. I'm starting to see a little bit of wear in the blade, and that's understandable over the years, but it still has several years of use ahead of it without a doubt. Still quite sharp. Nice thing about good steels like these ones. And for people that complain about frame locks and liner locks, this one has held on beautifully over the years, so no complaints there. I still plan on having this with me all over 2019 as well. In terms of flashlight, there's not a ton of new stuff. I've had this one, the Eagle Attack D25C. Notice that I have in all of these, the ones that I honestly use as EDC in the rotation, I have a whistle and I have a little bit of visible core. This is because these colors are easy to lose if you drop it on sand or tall grass. So you really need something that's more visible, because the tactical thing gets really old when you drop it and you lost your flashlight. And yes, titanium is definitely, this is a ThruNite T10T, and this is the one that I'm using lately, the Clarus, here is MI7T. The T10T, it's a very nice, pretty basic light, does well enough. The D25C is quite bright, and I like the clicky button. The one I've been using lately is this one, the Clarus. And I like that it's titanium, I like that it's very bright. I don't like that much the button here on the side. I really would wish I had a button here, a more classic clicky button instead. It already happened to me that it turned on accidentally when having it in my pants, when sitting, driving and whatnot. Yes, it has a function which you can keep it pressed, and then the flashlight is going to be turning off, and then it's not going to be turning on unless you click it 3 times in a row. So this prevents the accidental thing of turning on and having a hot flashlight in your pants accidentally, especially at maximum brightness. So, but it's kind of a fix to something that could be avoided entirely with a clicky button, which I honestly prefer. So I'm going to be looking at other options if there's something that kind of has what I want. But the thing is, there's not a ton of little flashlights like these ones, so small with a clicky. Usually they start getting bigger when you have a more tactical looking clicky button. So it would be awesome if we could have this here. Clarus, if anyone from you guys is watching this kind of thing over here, that would be a winner in my opinion. In terms of wallet, just sticking with my old wallet that just works for me, a pocket for coins, card slots in this direction, that's basically it. Just leather. Yeah, other materials are a possibility, but remember, having coins and having a good amount of cash, that's always important for preparedness in general. It's one of your most useful tools, having just simple good old cash. In terms of lighters, I've had with me my Elsa Zippo lighter, custom-made badges by Relic Raider, who I don't know if he's making these anymore. He makes batches, it seems, every now and then. Look up Relic Raider on internet and you're going to be finding the guy, and he probably doesn't have any of these for sale. But This is my lighter. I love it. I have a spare one which I keep as a collectible because that's the thing with many of these things. Traditional Zippo, which for many years, going back to this retro vibe that I have today, this actually is a Zippo that I had with me for many years. As a teenager, I didn't smoke, but I always had a Zippo with me. This one went to school with me, so you can figure out how old this thing is. And yeah, I just filled it up the other day just to show my kids what a lighter used to be. Fantastic. Who doesn't love Zippo? These are great. Just again, the finishing in these things, I'm surprised by how well it holds up over the years. I don't know what's happening, if things are just not, I'm not sure if it was me being more careful back in the day because I didn't have as much stuff, so I was more careful about not messing it up, or if they just built them better or had better finish paint jobs and stuff back in the day. I don't know which one is it. But that's that. For me today, the solution is, instead of having a traditional Zippo, is just going for that Thunderbird insert that I've mentioned so many times. It's just a butane insert for your traditional Zippo, and this is just the thing it is. It's very simple. I've had several. I tried them to see if I find leaks. I haven't had any bad luck with them. They're just good. They just last. This one hasn't been recharged in over a year or more, maybe 2 years. I don't even know. Again, I don't smoke, so this gets used very rarely for me. So it just works, and this is what I want. I want a lighter that whenever I need it, I don't want this thing to be dry like it happened to me so many times. Yes, you can use a flint and wheel and cotton to start a fire or fibers, but the idea of having a lighter is actually having a flame, right? And it just looks awesome, which is always nice. So in terms of watch, I kind of rotate between these two sometimes. Honestly, mostly sticking with a ProTrek titanium Casio, and the Seiko. It's very nice. It's very heavy, feels super solid, just looks great. But because it's automatic, you have to be using it all the time. It has great lumen though. But you have to use it all the time, because if not, as you see right now, it just stops working and you lose your time. So this is just far more convenient for me. In terms of keys, I stick with my ThruNite T AAA battery keychain flashlight, my Mini Champ, which gets used still very much often. I also have a little Pico pry bar, a mini peanut lighter. I have a USB flash memory thing here as well, which I started using again. For some time I just left it, but now I just have it again with me. I would love to have something else and not have this. I'm looking at something more compact, but I don't want to give up that utility, that having a lighter. I still want to have that, and this is almost dry by now. But it is a little bit bulky-ish. It's not terrible. It's still quite compact. I've seen guys with terrible keychains. This is just good. And yeah, that's it. Still very much the same setup. Not changing it anytime soon. What I have changed is with my car keys. I've left behind my beloved Vault Dweller shooting guide, which I like, but this gets caught everywhere all the time. And one of the first things I noticed is, as soon as I got rid of my Vault Dweller dude, I saw that this was super, like nothing. It was so easy to lose these. I did have my Clarus Mini 1T, which is a neat little flashlight, but it's just, amazingly, it is a little bit too small. So I had to add something, and I had been having this idea of having maybe a small classic Victorinox. This is the Manager, which is the essentials that you have in the Mini Champ, meaning you have your blade, your Phillips screwdriver, cap lifter, wire stripper thing there, your scissors, and a simple flathead screwdriver and file. And you have a pen and tweezers. This is fantastic. It's a great mini multi-tool for anyone that doesn't want to have even something as small as a mini champ. If this is even too much, the manager is your thing. This is what does it. I already used it a bunch of times. Happy I have it. Dropped it and scrapped it a little bit better. Guys, if anyone from Victorinox is watching this, a little suggestion. The same tool, but instead of these scales, get Alux type ones, aluminum ones, so that it's stronger, and leave the pen. Find a way of fitting a fire steel here somehow, in some way. Maybe with aluminum you can make a little bit more room here somehow, and have something that you can just strip here, a small fire steel, so as to use it. I know that some guys are doing their own custom fire steels to put instead of the tweezers. I think that with a little bit of ingenuity you could find a way so as to move this a little bit maybe, or somehow fit a fire steel somewhere here. That would be awesome if you could do that. So basically that's it. These are the things I've had over the year. No, I'm not carrying any guns, not as of right now, but I have been shooting these ones the most. And even though I'm not EDCing a firearm, I just want to share a few thoughts regarding them. I'm still very much a Glock guy in terms of this is what I honestly use when shooting for competitions, and this is my main gun. It's always, not always, but it's been that way for several years now. It's not going to be changing, and for all the right reasons. As you know, there's really nothing better than a Glock as of right now. The marketing guys may be saying something else. The truth is, a Glock 17, maybe a Glock 19 if you want something more compact. That's the way to go. Anyone that's telling you anything else, sure, there's other guns, and that's kind of the point of this video. Even though I'm not EDCing a gun, I am shooting guns, and I've had the pleasure of rediscovering some of them that I really love, especially these two guys here. So I've had revolvers. Back in Argentina, I had my Smith & Wesson Model 12, which is a lightweight K-frame Model 10, basically in a snub-nose configuration. And that was a gun that I had with me as a backup gun. It was a fantastic little gun. But when it came down to actually shooting it, it is difficult. A snub-nose revolver with Smith & Wesson, trying to shoot fast, you can always notice that you go back to this kind of thing. This is where you go boom, 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 and actually hit stuff fast. And then I discovered the Manuron MR73, which is this beautiful revolver that I have right here. And I've done videos about it before. It is glorious. It is, man, you rediscover why you like guns and why you like shooting and why you like firearms and firearms technology. Looks very much like a simple, well, maybe not so much because it's actually stunning, the beautiful finish that it has, that straw trigger and hammer thing going on, the beautiful wood as well here. But besides looking fantastic, it just shoots beautifully as well. The trigger mechanism can be adjusted, which is stuff that I've talked in previous videos. But beyond that, I think because I'm kind of understanding why is it that it's so good now, the trigger, that short double action trigger that it has, it allows you for very fast shooting, and at least for me, accurate fast shooting, which has not always been the case with me with revolvers and 357 Magnum. 357 Magnum full power loads, they have quite a bit of recoil, and with a longer typical Smith & Wesson trigger pull, I just haven't been as accurate. Now I pick this thing up, start boom boom boom, and I'm actually going with something similar with my Glock. I'm actually hitting stuff when shooting fast. And sure, some asshole right now is gonna be, oh, I shoot my blah 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 blah, and I shoot it super fast and accurately. Well, you're better shot than I am. Honestly, I'm average shot in in a good day. I'm gonna be ending up somewhat on top in the IPSC shooting competition. I'm gonna be ending up in a top 3, 4, 5, maybe even winning once in a while. In a bad day, I'm gonna be screwing up, maybe ending up in the middle. If you shoot better than I do, then that's fantastic for you. For me, I've always had that thing that with with revolvers, with my Smith revolvers, Colts, Taurus even. I've had Rossi as well. So I've always found out that when trying to shoot fast and accurately, for me it hasn't been as easy as with an automatic pistol, especially not compared to a Glock. With this gun in particular though, things are different. With the MR73 I found that good solid grip, going dum 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 dum, I'm actually hitting fast what I'm aiming at. Sure, it's always about the shooter, but sometimes guns help as well. There's kind of crappy shooters that with a good race gun they're going to be a little bit more accurate than with your basic Glock. For me, with this particular gun, I think it's about the short trigger, I think it's about the angle, I think it's about all these little things that the guys over at GIGN, the French anti-terrorist unit, wanted and designed specifically so as to have in this gun. I think that they had the right idea and they actually pulled it off. They managed to get a gun that you can shoot both accurately like a target gun, shoot fast and accurately as well in double action when you need it, and besides making that a beautiful gun and making it maybe the strongest .357 Magnum revolver ever made, because it has a tool steel a frame that is super strong, goes for hundreds and thousands of rounds without stretching. So a fantastic gun in general, and it has been great to rediscover rediscover revolvers, at least for me. No, they're not going to be replacing your Glock. Your Glock with its 17+1 rounds of 9mm, which is usually more than enough, and it's tough as nails, and it never dies, and it's easy to replace and fix and do stuff like that. No, but this is maybe from a finer, more elegant time, like they say about the lightsaber in Star Wars. I always have that feeling with the MR73. It was from a time when getting shot once with a .357 Magnum kind of said everything that needed to be said about this situation, let alone being shot 6 times. So, just getting distracted here. I've also had a very good time with the P7. Many love the P7. I like the P7 as well a lot. For me, it hasn't been as much of a revelation as the MR73 personally, because kind of I'm already set in automatics with my Glock. But yeah, I will admit that there's a ton of good stuff going on in the P7, and I think I've mentioned this before. There's a lot of the P7 that went into the Glock. Clearly so. The lack of external safeties, the nice trigger pull, the octagonal barrel. I think that this was one of the, I think it was the first gun that had a 3-dot sight system. The sights are great in this gun. It has a great sight radius for a gun that is so compact. Even till this day, this gun is still influencing many things in modern firearms. Look at how compact the slide is, and compared to the grip, especially with the P7 M13, it has a full-size grip and magazine and has a compact slide. What does that remind you of? 19X? Well, that's kind of the thing, and they just had the right idea. Those engineers over at HK they knew what they were doing, and it's a great gun. So guys, that's basically been my EDC stuff and my gun thoughts for this year. Some of the things I've enjoyed doing. Remember to subscribe to the channel and hit that notification bell button, because if not, you're not going to be getting any new stuff. Let me know in your comments. I think I forgot about the pocket carry pieces. A pocket piece is basically a coin that you have in your pocket just so to fiddle with when you're nervous, when you're bored, and every once in a while I'll pick one. And these have been my pocket pieces throughout the year, mostly Morgan silver dollar, a 5 franc coin, and a Kennedy half. These are the ones I've had with me just to remind me of a time when money was actually money, which is always something important to remember. Folks, it's going to be all for now. Remember to subscribe. See you on our next video. Have a great day and a great new year as well.